Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Today is Friday, July 1st, 2022, and if you're watching the markets this morning, you might be asking yourself, why is silver falling so much? Because at the time I'm recording this video, the spot price of silver is down over 4%, gold taking a hit too. Gold's now under 1,800 bucks. Silver is under 20. This is a 2-year low for the price of silver that we're hitting today. So a significant blow against the precious metals. And why is that happening? You know, we've got inflation seemingly out of control. We've got the price of other commodities like food and oil skyrocketing still at very elevated levels. So why are the precious metals taking a hit? Well, part of it is because the US dollar index is rallying in a big way today. The US dollar index over 105, and this is a near 20-year high for the US dollar index. To find the US dollar index at this level in the past, you've got to go back to the year 2002. And so, why is the dollar catching such a bid? Well, you got to remember the dollar index is a measure of the US dollar's strength relative to other fiat currencies. So even if here in the US we're having a little bit of a hard time, we've got a lot of inflation, in other countries around the world, times are harder. I mean, look at Europe. Clearly, Europe has a lot more problems than we're facing at the moment, despite the fact that we've got our own issues. They've got a real energy crisis brewing over there. They've got inflation running out of control. Same thing in Japan. Inflation there is getting out of control. And so, these are the kind of currencies that the US dollar is measured against in the US dollar index. And so that has something to do with the fall of gold and silver today. Also, the short-term technical picture on those charts wasn't looking too good. Although the commitment of traders information that we got last week was at an extreme reading for silver and an extremely bullish alignment. So the fact that we're having this sell-off today means that those commitment of traders numbers are going to be even more extremely favorable for silver. And I don't expect this sell-off to continue much lower. I mean, I think the next significant resistance, or rather support on the chart for silver is going to be somewhere in the $18 level. But I mean, I would be shocked if it fell below that. And of course, all of this is just paper silver. If you want to buy an ounce of physical silver, like what I have in my hand here, you're still going to be paying 22, 23 bucks if you're getting a 1 ounce round. If you want to get a silver eagle, still going to be paying over 30 bucks. So, and if you're stacking metal, typically these spikes down, I mean, you can just view these as noise. You can view them as a buying opportunity. Really nothing has changed in the fundamental picture for silver. But another reason that the price of silver is falling is because of the messaging that central banks have been sending out recently. They have been making it seem like they are just gearing up to fight inflation no matter the cost. Fed Chair Jerome Powell recently described the Fed's fight against inflation as unconditional when speaking to Congress. So, the idea is that no matter how bad the economy gets, no matter how bad the recession becomes, the Fed is going to keep cranking up rates. They're going to keep fighting inflation. And I mean, that is, I think, obviously nonsense to anybody who's paying attention. There's no way that the Fed is going to continue to raise rates no matter how bad the economy gets. I mean, if we start seeing significant layoffs, a significant slowdown in the economy, I think the Fed is absolutely going to reverse policy. And it'll be shown that their fight against inflation is not unconditional in any way. It's just that the conditions for a reversal haven't been met yet. And so investors, I think, they seem to believe what the Fed is saying. They think that the Fed is committed to fighting inflation no matter what. And if that is actually the case, it would make sense for precious metals to sell off, because investors will be under the impression that even though we have inflation now, we're not going to have it in the future, because the Fed is so committed and central banks around the world are so committed to fighting the forces of inflation. However, if you've been paying attention, you know that the Fed, when they say things about inflation, a lot of times they turn out to not be true. They were telling us for over a year that inflation was transitory. They had told us that inflation had peaked. And so when they tell us that their fight against inflation is unconditional, I think we should all be taking that with a grain of salt. And that's why I view this pullback as nothing more than a buying opportunity for those of us stacking physical metal. I mean, I know premiums are kind of high, but even so, I mean, you can buy silver cheaper today than you could yesterday. And so I think this is a good opportunity. Now, if you've got a lot of paper silver positions, I know that those are definitely going to be hurting today. I mean, look at the miners. A lot of the miners today taking a big hit. And to get to the valuations that we have currently in miners. If you go back, you got to go back to March of 2020 to find a time when the gold and silver miners were as cheap as they are today. So, it's a lot more speculative to be buying these paper assets, but I do think that the miners are really on sale right now. And when it becomes clear to investors that the Fed's fight against inflation is in fact not unconditional and that there are conditions like a massive recession, massive layoffs, significant economic pain, there are conditions like that that will cause the Fed to ease again. When it becomes clear to investors that that's the case, silver and gold are going to take off. That's just my belief. It's not financial advice, but that's what I see coming down the pipeline. And all of these downturns like today, for one thing, this is the downturn in the spot price. We know that the spot price is manipulated. We know that there is quite a bit of paper silver out there that's traded, about 350 some odd ounces of paper silver traded to every ounce of physical silver. I don't have the number in front of me, but it's something along those lines. Some extraordinary number of paper silver. So, seeing big spikes down like this, maybe it's manipulation, maybe it's normal market forces, but even if that's the case, I think it's because the perception that many investors have about inflation is mistaken. But, it's understandable why they would have this mistaken impression of what inflation is going to do in the future, because the central banks are telling us one thing, but I think ultimately they're going to be doing another. So, if you're looking for somewhere to put some speculative cash, maybe take a look at the miners. If you're just interested in saving in some hard currency instead of some Federal Reserve notes, then today might be a good day to get some physical metal. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think is the driving force for the falling price of gold and silver that we're seeing today. Love to know what you have to say, and thank you all very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.